Hi, welcome to the summary of this awesome book, The Art of Spending Money by Morgan Housel. Morgan Housel is the author of the awesome book, The Psychology of Money, as well. And today we'll share some timeless lessons on money and happiness. We'll know that spending is not about numbers, it's about meaning, and how we spend tells more about our story than how much we earn. So there's a missing conversation that Morgan Housel talks about. We obsess over earning, saving, and investing, but rarely, rarely at all do we pause to ask, how should I spend my money? There has been very less conversation on how do we spend it because it's considered as obvious that if once I have money, I'll spend it on anything and everything, live it lavishly. Is that going to help me? Smart spending, Morgan Housel says, is equal to mindful living. So money is a tool, not a trophy, one also mentioned. What does that mean? So let's look into that aspect as well, where he says, use the money to enable life, not to prove success. True wealth lies in how you feel and not in what you own. Every purchase either adds or subtract peace. You should define whether your purchase is adding to your peace or subtracting the peace mind from your life. Adding that new iPhone in your life, is that making your life more lavish, more peaceful, or is it making it more miserable? Again, lavish is not always equal to peaceful either. Freedom, the real return on investment. That is what money is wanting to bring to us. The best thing money buys for us is control on our time. So spend to expand your freedom, not to shrink it. So if we are spending on things which become our liabilities, we are shrinking our freedom. Instead, if we are investing it to buy some time for ourselves, buy some freedom for ourselves, that is expanding our freedom. If money doesn't make you free, it is not working for you essentially, what it says. Spending for identity versus spending for joy. That is a very important point that he brings to attention. So, spending to impress others rarely brings happiness. Spending, he mentions this uh, common saying that says that if you become very rich suddenly, if you get a lottery, it is very highly likely that your neighbor will go bankrupt. Why is that? Because your neighbor probably spend a lot of money in trying to impress you and show that, oh, I can also own that watch, that fancy car. So that's what he intends to say here. Joyful spending aligns with your values, not with the planet. And you should always ask, would I still buy this if no one could see it? If I was on an island where I could not post on a social media, where nobody was going to see which mansion I live in, which Rolls Royce I drive, would I still buy that Rolls Royce or that mansion or that palace, whatever, for utility purposes, for peace of mind, for making me freer? If not, then probably that's not the answer. The happiness per rupee rule he talks about. Every rupee has a different happiness yield. Some expenses bring lasting joys, others fade very, very fast. For example, spending on a vacation with your family where you go together, maybe it's a very small place near your city, you just it's a drive away and you don't really spend a lot on that, but you make very great memories for life. That will bring a lasting joy. Instead, if you spend it on maybe something very fancy gadget, a very fancy car, or whatever, which momentarily brings you some joy, but eventually, once you're used to it, it fades away very fast. That's lesson number two. Track what truly energizes you and cut what does not. So whatever is truly energizing you, that is what you should double down on, and whatever is not, you should cut on it. Doesn't have to be very specific on what. Third thing he talks about is about the comparison trap. So most overspending is fueled by comparisons. Comparisons by peers, comparisons of neighbors, comparisons. distant friends whom you never met in life after your school, but you see them on social media, their fancy holidays. Social media is there to amplify the envy and not control. So we required you get away from that and live a happy and peaceful content life. Don't get into that comparison trap is what it means. Happiness does not scale with lifestyle, it scales with gratitude. Irrespective of how much you can accumulate, you may not become as happy as you would become by being grateful for all you have, by being grateful for all that God has given you. Frugality is all about emotional intelligence. Being frugal is not about being cheap, it's about being clear that I prioritize my freedom over everything else. Spending lavishly on what matters most to you. Don't spend on things that bring you that same car that your neighbor has, or showcase that same Maldives or Las Vegas holidays that your friend just went to. Spend on things that matter the most. Cut ruthlessly on what does not. Whatever spending is not bringing you the most value, the most happiness, it's not worth it. He talks about emotional side of the money. Every financial decision you make has a feeling behind it. Understand the triggers that trigger that particular financial decision, that particular money decision. Whether it's to bring you comfort, pride, guilt, fear, whatever it is, just name it and just know it. Aim for calmness, not for calculation in money choices. So, more money means you should be more calm, more happy, and not otherwise. Morgan Housel's key lessons are that money is a tool for freedom, not display. Peace of mind is always greater than the possession of things. And frugality equals financial self awareness. Frugality is not about being cheap. Frugality is not about answering the question, so what do you earn the money for if you don't buy a Rolls Royce or whatever? Spend where your happiness compounds. Spend on those areas of value. So, concluding on the art of spending, so what you should understand, what does your spending say about you? Which purchases genuinely make you happier? What would you stop buying if no one was watching? Ask these questions to yourself, answer it for yourself, read the book to understand more finer details of all of these, and maybe get the detailed answer for yourself. Closing thoughts again. So, a quote from the book: "Wealth is what you don't see. The cars did not bought, the clothes not purchased, the freedom you quietly earned. Wealth is not what you see. Money well spent bring calm, not clutter, and you should live richly, not expensively. You should live a rich life. Rich life necessarily doesn't mean the life of showing off to others, life of just being a showcase of things and artifacts. It's about living life of full of happiness, full of gratitude, full of peace, full of calm. That is what you should prioritize over everything else, not the other way around, on the expensive side of it. So that was all